Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. I have been solving math problems out of this book here, the GMAT review, the official guide. If you do not have this book already, buy one immediately. You can purchase it at mba.com. Right now I'm going to solve a problem that you will find on page number 165, problem 105, the last problem on this page. Let's take a look at it. It says that we have a square mirror which has a diagonal of 20 inches. The question simply is, what is the approximate perimeter of the mirror? Approximate, they're not looking for the exact value. Approximate perimeter of the mirror in inches. So let's draw it here. So we have a square mirror, which means all sides are equal obviously. And I'm told that the diagonal is how long? 20 inches. Question is, how do I find this side and that side? Because I have to add up these four sides and they are all equal, so I have to find one of these sides. What you need to know here is what is known as Pythagorean theorem, and I hope you know it. Pythagorean theorem says that in any right angle triangle, this is a right angle triangle here, in any right angle triangle, the sum of this leg, sum of the square of this side and the square of that side equals the square of the side facing the right angle, which is known as the hypotenuse. And typically people write this as a squared plus b squared equals c squared, because they call this side a, this side b, and this side c. Usually, traditionally, the convention is that you call the hypotenuse c. But because all the sides are equal here, I'm not going to call them a and b, because we do not have two unknowns, which is just as well, because if we had two unknowns, we couldn't solve it. We only have one equation here. So let's start here. So it's basically a squared plus another a squared equals c squared, which is 20 squares. 20 squared. And how much is 20 squared? I hope you know this by heart. There are some squares that you must know if you're going to sit for the GMAT or GRE or SAT. There are some basic squares that you must know by heart because the calculators are not allowed. Let me raise this thing here. I'm going to actually give you a quick list right now. Quick list of the numbers that I would expect any of my students who is going to sit for GMAT to know this thing on their fingertips. 1 through 10 is very easy. I hope you know all of those. 1 through 10 is very easy. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. These you should, I hope that you know these by heart already. 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, so on and so forth up to 10 squared. The prickly part begins when we go to 11 squared. So I'm going to put a list here, and if you don't know these already, learn them. 11 squared, 12 squared, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 17, 18, 19 you don't have to worry about. They don't appear very often. So very quickly, 11 squared is 121, 12 squared is 144, 13 squared is 169, 14 squared should be 196, 15 squared is 225, 16 squared is 256, and then 20 squared is 400. So these are the ones that you have to memorize if you don't know them already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these, and of course 20 squared. So this equals 400. So let's continue then. So 2a squared equals 400, because I have a squared plus a squared equals 2 times a squared, and therefore a squared must equal, if I divide both sides by 2, is 200, which means this side a is square root of 200. Let me redraw our square here. This side, and this side, they are all equal, and I just found out this side is square root of 200. And there are 4 of them, because they are asking for perimeter. So the answer is basically the perimeter of this thing is simply 4 times this quantity. 4 times this quantity. This is where things comes in handy. You have to know these things by heart. I know that I'm going to do it 2 ways. I'm going to do the academic way and the quick way. The quick way is this. Quick way is knowing that 14 squared is 196, which means the square root of 200 is just going to be slightly over 14. Slightly over 14. That's what it is. So what is 4 times 14? Well, I know that 4 times 15 is 60. And since they're looking for approximate answer, 60 is good enough. Is 60 one of the answer? Well, there you go. Answer is B. The square root of 200, where should I write it? Square root of 200 is approximately equal to 14. In reality, it's actually something more than 14. So I'm going to, instead of approximate, now I'm going to write down equal sign. Because that is true. Square root of 200 is something more than 14. Just a slightly more than 14. Because when we go from 14 to 15, it becomes 225. We do not have 225. We have 200. We are closer to 196. We are closer to 196 than we are to 225. So slightly more than 14. So 14 times 4, which is what they're looking for here, I round it up to 15. If it's 14 times 4, obviously it's not 40. And it's not 80, because 80 means this number has to be 20. So the answer that comes closest to it is B. Let me redo it a little bit differently, which is this part. The proper way, the academic way, very quickly, is this. 200, square root of 200, you write it as the square root of 2 times 100. And the square root of 2, the square root of 10 is, the square root of 100 is 10. So it is 10 times root 2. But then the same problem you're going to run into again, which is knowing the square root of 2. Square root of 2 is 1.4. You see? Same problem again. 10 times 1.4. Again, that is something you should know. It is about 14. That's why we're rounding it. So the answer is about 4 times something more than 14. The closest answer that you come there is 60, which is B. Answer is B. That's all. So you have to know this part. Square root of 2 is approximately 1.4. Square root of 3 is approximately 1.7. Those are again some things that you have to know for the exam. But that's all there is. I hope you found this helpful. If you wish to buy the DVDs of all the math problems that appear in this book, there are about 400 of them, 250 problem solving, 150 data sufficiency. Or if you wish to buy those DVDs, go to my website at www.prep4gmat.com. Or if you wish to hire me for personal private tutoring, again, go to my website, send me an email, and we'll talk. I'm located in Connecticut, but I'll come down to wherever you are, as long as it's worth my while, obviously. Thank you.